What's up, Higgs Nation? Welcome to another episode of Higgs Fishing. For this week's episode, we're going to go over how to load and unload your kayak, kayak carts, and why you buy a kayak cart, and then we're going to do a real quick product review of the C TUG because it's the one that I own, it's the one that I use. There are multiple different ones that you can use, but I'm going to go over the C TUG because it's what I have. I'm going to go over the techniques to use it because they're very similar for all of the kayak carts and why you use it. But before we do that, before we get into it, I owe you guys an update. So, the gravity rudder issue. I'm actually headed to the Vibe store this morning before we film the video. You'll see here, this is actually pretty small. So a lot of you guys already know this. I've seen a lot of you guys kind of telling me this. There are two fixes to this. One, I'm going by the Vibe shop because I hear there's a version 2 of this base that is a few millimeters deeper. So when it drops in, it'll go in reverse without clicking back out. Two, there is a DIY fix. If you're too far away from a Vibe shop or a Vibe dealer, and you live kind of out in the middle of nowhere, you can get a Dremel tool and kind of Dremel that down for 4 millimeters or so, and then maybe sand down the edges here, and that should work, because that's the only difference between the version 1 and the version 2 is it's a little deeper, so it doesn't click back up. So that's a quick update on that. I'm going to see if I can get that fixed, and then we can close the books on that DIY on that project. So that's the issue with the reverse on the Vibe gravity rudder. And one last thing before we get started. As of right now, I got a bunch of these hats made. And as of right now, we're sitting at 94 subscribers. So what we're going to do is, once we hit 100, I'm going to have my wife pick a number between 1 and 100, and we're going to give away a hat. We're going to scroll from the top down, whatever number she picks. If she picks 30, I'm going to start number 1 being the top and go down to 30 and find out who that is and see if we can't give it to them. So we got some hats made. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to pick somebody out and they're going to get a free hat. So that being said, this weekend's video, we're going to go over loading and unloading your kayak and how to use a kayak cart while you get a kayak cart. And then I'm going to follow up with you guys and make sure that I finish this project with the gravity rudder, make sure we figure out how to get reverse going. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome back, Kayaks Nation. So, quick update. I filmed an intro, and this morning we went ahead and went to Vibe. So I should just, at this point, I've been to the shop so many times, I should just ask Miriam if I could just film in the shop. So check it out. If you had the same issue in reverse, we fixed it. The Dremel tool is a way to do it, as I talked about this morning, but all she did, and they replaced it in the shop, it only took 15 minutes. She didn't even ask me any questions. I showed it to her, and done. She took this off, she added the new base plate. The new base plate is plenty deep enough, does not come back, so you can now do reverse. Now I'm gonna have to tighten my screws because I left the Bigsby on there, and you see my little clips. I did that DIY, they're not gonna do that for you, but if you have time, if you're in the Kennesaw area, you can get to the shop. I see a lot of people complaining about it, but nobody's really going over there. She didn't ask me any questions, she didn't charge me any money, she fixed it in 15 minutes. So, just so you guys are aware, that's an easy fix for that. Now, the Dremel tool is another way to do it. If you, like some of the guys on Facebook I've seen live in the UK, I get it. You know, you don't want to wait on shipping all the way to England. Got it. That's a pretty easy fix. You only need a few millimeters. All right, so just wanted to make sure we circle back and close the door on that DIY. So, going back to that video, I did kind of call them out in the Bigsby test video, but Vibe's already realized there's a problem and they're already working on fixing it. So if you got it, hit them up, call them, see if you can get to the shop, see if you can get it turned in or get one shipped out to you. All right, so that being said, we're rolling back into it, right? So kayak carts. Why do you need a kayak cart? So first off, we're going to start like this. these things are made of plastic. Some are made of the, of course I forget the name of the plastic now, the cheaper plastics, Pelican's made of, Lifetime's made of, and then some of them are more of a polyurethane blend. There's nothing wrong with Pelican, it's not cheaper, it's just more inexpensive. You have to be careful with it whenever you drag it. And that's what we're about to get into. So these are made to drag. Whether it's plastic, whether it's like the type of plastic the Pelican uses or this polyurethane plastic, they're made to drag. But they're made to drag if you drag them through the sand or if you drag them over the grass or things like that. If you're like me and you're fishing in a lake a lot and you are on concrete or asphalt and our garage is concrete, you cannot drag these things over asphalt and concrete. You will mess them up. Regular rash is fine. Like, don't freak out when you get regular rash. But when you start having tears go through it from the asphalt, you're going to have a puncture and you're going to have a problem with your hull. That is why a kayak cart. So, how do I select my kayak cart? When do I know when I need one? Well, one, like I just said, if you're using a lot of boat ramps, things like that, you're going over a lot of concrete, sidewalks, things like that. Another two, I've seen people out at Tybee and out at any kind of beach in Florida, if you're going a long distance, it's a whole lot easier on your body to have a couple of wheels behind you as opposed to you dragging that thing through sand. And we'll go into that in a minute. That's going to kind of identify what type of wheels. So how do I know when I need one? Well, get into your kayak, start playing with it, start messing with it. Eventually, you're going to drag that thing over enough sand where you're going to go, okay, I can handle this. It's only 10 feet from the steps to the water on the beach. Or you're going to be in a place like St. Pete at low tide and you're going to go, I am so tired of dragging this thing over loose sand for 40 feet just to get to the water. It's up to you, kind of get a feel for it. So, once you decide you need a kayak cart, what type of cart should you get? So I'm going to go over a couple, talk about some price points. There are a million carts. I've linked some that I'm about to go over, but do your research. There's a lot more. So, what is the first thing you need to look at? You need to look at what type of wheels do they have. Are the wheels inflatable? Are they plastic? Are they a hard polyurethane? And I'll go over the C TUG. We're going to do a product review because I have that. The other thing you need to look at, what type of base plate does it have? You'll notice on the C TUG, I'm just going to pick it up. Or actually, babe, if you don't mind, it's got flat pieces here and it rotates. Mine's kind of stuck because I use it on the Seaghost all the time. But it rotates. It's made to fit your boat. But your boat may not have a hole shape that fits this. A lot of times you'll see like a hole has like two different indentions in the center of it, and you're better off getting a kayak cart that's got like two rods in it. Again, that goes back to doing your research, making sure you flip your kayak over and look at your hole. So that's number two. Number one, the wheels. Number two, the base. Number three is going to be the price. No, take that back. Sorry. Number three, third thing to look at. How long are you going to keep your kayak? A lot of them are like this. So when I say like this, it's a standalone. I'm going to show you guys how to use it. I'm going to put my kayak on here later, strap it, and use it. There is also another brand, and there's more than one, called I just go over the Boondocks. There's more than just the Boondocks. The Boondocks landing gear, which I will link below, actually comes, Wilderness Systems makes another one very similar, and you will bolt it to your kayak so your wheels are permanently mounted. So it's very expensive. So if you have, say, a lot of times people have Hobies and more expensive kayaks that they're going to keep a long time, that's where they get those. So one, type of wheels. Two, the base. Three, your kayak, how long do you plan on keeping it? And lastly, four, the price. So a couple of things just to go over real quick before we show you how to move it around. I just did some research on a couple. The C TUG, I can tell you right now, is 150 bucks. So you get what you pay for, right? And I'm just doing this sporadically. I'd say the C TUG is a really, really solid mid-range. I like it, and I'll go over it in a minute. We'll go over that in a minute. Field and Stream has one that's linked below for $90. Pelican Kayaks has another one that's linked below for $90. And then I'll get into the last two. And then the last two I'm going to jump up in price and kind of give you an idea of more expensive kayak carts. The Wilderness Systems kayak cart that's linked below is $220. Now I see a lot of people probably freaking out already. $220 for a kayak cart. A lot of times I see people use these for things like the Old Town autopilots because it fits perfectly, and you've paid $4,000 for your kayak at that point. You don't want to get a cheap cart. You want to get a cart that's not going to break your hull, not bend your hull. And again, it depends on how much you paid for your kayak. If you pay $4,000 for your kayak, I'm going to highly recommend that you do not go get a $90 quick fix cart. I'm going to recommend you take your time and find the right cart. And again, the Boondocks landing gear. The Boondocks landing gear I have linked below. It's around about $300, but you can also go up in price to $330 depending on the type. So, just to give you some ideas, there's also more than that. Ozark Trail makes one, Walmart brand. That Magellan has one, Academy's brand. There's a ton of them out there. Go look at them before you buy one for your car, for your kayak. So, the C TUG. I like the C TUG. Love it. It's been great. I'm a little concerned if I upgrade this to a sheer water because the platform's different that it's not going to fit. I hope it does because I want to keep it. So why do I love the C TUG? Number one, it's standalone. So if I switch kayaks, provided it still fits on here, I just keep it. Number two, it can be a pain with some of these things. It breaks apart. And I'm not going to break it apart in the video, but it breaks apart. This middle piece becomes two pieces, 3, 4, 5, 6. I never break it apart, but if you're going 100 yards from your truck to the water, you can break it apart, put it in your kayak, and leave. You don't have to walk all the way back to the truck, drop it off, and then walk all the way back. And the last thing I love about it, I never have to come out here ever and go, oh my gosh, my tire is flat. Hey, I need air in my tires just to get my kayak around, right? Because these are plastic. They're made of polyurethane plastic. And I have drugged them over some rocks, over some sand. These jokers go over anything. They don't deflate. They don't pop. They don't break. They don't scratch. So it's heavy duty plastic that you can use real easily. So that is a real quick rundown of the C TUG, why I like it. It's been so easy to use. It's made life so convenient for me. So how do we move the kayak around and how do we get it on the C TUG and use it? So first things first, leading into it. When you're moving these things around, we talked about this a little bit. If you have a little Pelican or a Lifetime, you can probably just pick it up. I am not picking this joker up from here. And it has nothing to do with my diagnosis. Even when I was a beast, I'm not. This thing is 80 pounds. I'm not picking it up. So in order to move it without it having any issues or scratching it, you want to use both ends and pivot. Now one thing you will notice when loading and unloading is most good kayak companies will give you a keel guard right here. And you can actually buy more keel guards if you're having issues and put them on there yourself. But most of them will give you a keel guard, and this thing has screws in it so you can take it out. If it really gets messed up, you just take it out and put a new one in. Too easy. So think about, we have a point right here and a point in the front. So all I'm going to do to move this thing is move it one point to the next, as opposed to, you're not going to slide this on any kind of concrete. So let's do it. I'm picking up one end and I'm leaving the other end on there. I can do this all by myself. I'll say that, but watch me make a mistake here. We gotta have some bloopers somehow. So, done, right? You don't see me dragging it. You don't see me doing anything crazy. Leave it down. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Blooper. Blooper. Maybe if I use the handle. Alright, so it slid a little bit. It's okay if it slides a little bit. That's why I use the back end that has the keel guard. So all it's doing is rubbing that plastic back there. So I'm on the ground. Awesome. Too easy. This thing's 80 pounds. I'm doing it by myself. And a lot of times when I do this by myself, it's loaded. I usually keep the seat on there and a couple other things. So what now? You always want to carry it from the front. You do your best. I do my best. Try to guess where it's going to be at, where it's going to land at. Again, that's why you have the kickstand. Get up from the back. I'm not quite square, am I? That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to be completely square. So you're going to set it on there, too easy. Strap across the back. Strap across the back. Slide it through. And it's going to catch. Bam. You're on there. It's not quite perfect, but that's okay. And if you'll notice, if you want to, you can go down there and kick the kickstand up. Sometimes if I'm backwards or whatever, I will. Sometimes I won't. It just depends. So, now you're on the cart. Too easy. usually what you'll do is have this thing loaded down at the boat ramp and have it ready to go. Key to this is not, I've seen somebody do it, I swear, most people know not to, but you want your kayak cart toward the back or somewhere in the center. Now, usually I have my chair, so I can't put it in the center. You don't want it too far back, and you certainly don't want it. I've seen somebody do it where they have it in the front and they're trying to carry it from the back. If you're going to taper it a little bit, you want to taper it to the back and carry it from the front, not the other way around. Just to get a feel for the weight of your kayak. If you have, this is an 11 footer, if you have a 100-pound Hobie and that joker is 14 foot long, you don't want it to be in the back because that's not helping you. You're going to be carrying most of the weight. So once you're on, too easy, grab the front handle, pick it up, and this is a substantially lighter than trying to carry this whole kayak, right? So we're going to go ahead and put it in the truck. I'm not going to strap it down to kind of show you guys like how I do it. Try to line it up as best you can. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get it lined up completely. What I'll do here, normally I'll stop, double check everything because I've got my stuff in here. I'll pick it up, get it on top. See how I hit again? That's okay. I have a keel guard. I want it to hit. Why? Because I'm going to rub the keel guard a little bit. But now my plastic is sitting on the asphalt. It's not moving. I can let go of it. Even with all my stuff on here, if I get it on there enough, I can let go of it. So then all you got to do is pivot, pick it up, pivot, slide it in. Now I'm not going to strap it down because we did that the other day. That's a whole other video. But that is how to use and select a kayak cart. It's pretty easy stuff. Again, if it were me, do your research, think about the type of kayak you have, think about your budget. But also think about what you paid for your kayak. Don't go out and buy a $90 if you just paid $4,000 for a kayak. So that's all I have for you guys this week. If you guys have any questions, drop them below. And again, if you guys got something out of this, hit like, hit subscribe. And like I said in the intro, when we hit 100,000 subscribers, my wife doesn't know this, but she's filming me right now. She's going to pick a number and we're going to give a hat away. So once we hit 100 subscribers, we're giving that hat away. So again, click subscribe if you want that free hat. And until then, stay higgy with it, Higgs Nation.